Hi all, my name is Stefan Laub and today I show you another free example material that we added today to the Qtile Pro example material library. After the free brick material, we added here this wood shingle material. We show you today how this is made in principle in the Octane engine. We made it actually for all, for V-Ray, for Corona, for Cinema 4D and Redshift. You find it in your download. The principle is the same for all engines, but I'll show you here in Octane how I made it. Basically, it's in that case I used the glossy matte, and in diffuse I added a Qtile Pro. I started here with tile editor mode, and in the tile editor I have drawn these rectangles here with the box tool, and then we added some points and moved them a little bit to have this overlapping stuff. Very, very simple to make. I also saved it in the library, in the facades library. Here you have it, so you can use it also for your own or edit it in your own needs. And basically that's it. We have a slight color variation here for the shapes, which we will use then also for the tile shader. And then on top of that, I added just one simple free wood material from the internet, just a very 1K resolution. That's enough actually to make something like that. Of course, you can exchange it with a better one from yourself, then it will be even more sharp. But in theory, actually, you see it's enough to make such a material just out of more or less almost nothing. Just added a little saturation, contrast, tuning, and that's it. One simple texture I need. I reduced the opacity of the texture a little bit to have this random brightness from the tiles. And then in text variation and randomization, I did set some tile variation and offset parameters and how often it repeats within Tile Pro. I set a U and V mapping size and offset randomization, some slight rotation randomly and random flipping and stuff like that here. And furthermore, in the randomization tab, how often it repeats and how often the randomness then will be inside these repetitions, that it is seamless, and different variation of the intensity of the texture per shape, and slight color variation and stuff like that. And then in the edge mortar setting, the fourth step, I set some erosion, which makes the shape, it's like a displacement on the shapes, basically. So let's get even more slightly irregular cuts for these shingles. Basically, that's it. I used then the same setup in specular with a little more brightness. In roughness, a grayscale variant of that, brighter. I show you here, just use the low and high clip to make this very light variant. It's just a slight variation in the roughness. And I copied it into bump. Used here mix to make the bump slighter. And here I used just this height map, so it makes a height map out of the texture map automatically. That's more than enough for such a simple bump map. And then of course I have the displacement. Here I did a little extra. The displacement is just a really basic setup, how you usually do it, I guess, in Octane and the Inside Tile Pro. I made one layer with a gradient, or let's say two gradients here that have slightly different gradient fall-offs and slight noise in it. That's it for the first layer. Again, in edge mortar, the erosion. And then I made just a second layer where I put the same wood in grayscale in. Settings identical in both, and I just blended both layers here with 0.9 blending. So I have mostly the gradient, but also slight the texture here from the displacement. Yeah, that's it basically. Let's render it. Yeah, see, it goes fast. And in this case, I used Octane's internal baking settings. And you see, despite this is baked, the result is superb. We just used the internal Octane baker, which is really doing a good job. And I use here 16 cores. If you use too many baking cores, it gets slow again. To view is of course also not idle, but actually this is pretty well working. And alternatively, of course, you can also use the Tile Pro baking feature here, bake to file. So if you know you're done, you can just bake it to a bitmap and then use the bitmap. I often do this also too. But you see, there is no visible repetition or anything. Yeah, it just works. The thing is actually the eye it needs some sweet point and in enough variation, and then you can even, you see, we have eight time tiling here. You cannot see that. Yeah, it's good enough for the eye, and Qtile Pro helps you greatly to making these textures very, very fast with very little input needed. So you can save a lot of time and money on otherwise expensive textures. With Qtile Pro, it's more up to you, and you can use the presets. And it's a very simple thing in the end to, I lost here the camera, a very simple thing here to set up such great materials. I hope you liked that. As said, this exists also for Corona and V-Ray and the C4d internal and Redshift, and it's in your downloads today. Have a nice evening and see you soon.